What makes you lose your faith in humanity? Story 1. Watching billionaires spend millions on vanity projects while people can't afford healthcare, food, or a safe place to live. The priorities are just broken. Answer: that in itself is not the thing that shatters my faith. It's that we not only let them get away with it, but that so many defend this as some kind of necessity when virtually all data we've ever collected, every study we've ever done, every predictive model we've ever conceived on the topic says that this is absolutely disastrous because some rich dudes and their lackeys say, "Trust me, bro." Story 2. The road rage in morning traffic. Guys, we're all stuck. Raging isn't going to change a thing. Might as well enjoy the music and wait it out. Story 3. I think this thread is a perfect example. There's always something going on, non-stop problem after problem, coupled with this feeling that humanity is severely overcomplicating life. We get one shot, one life. That's it. And I just don't think we, as a collective, spend it wisely. It's just draining. Story 4. My job. I work closely with people who have terrible parents. The things these parents do are horrendous, especially to their own children. Assault, kicking them out, shaming them, stealing their money, SVU type shoot. And then I have all of these people I meet who are genuinely nice, who just have shoot parents. Answer: my parents kicked us all out because you're of age now. My sister and I both ended up in abusive situations. My brother went no contact for several years. It took over a decade to remotely repair the relationship with my parents, and I don't think I'll ever fully trust them ever again. Even when I went back after my mom died of COVID, my, thankfully sweet and supportive husband had to help me fall with just being in that house again. So yeah, I hear this. Hugs and good vibes to anyone else who wants them and understands. Story 5. People who treat service workers like they're beneath them. Zero patience, zero kindness, just entitlement. It says so much about who someone is. Story 6. When people film someone who is struggling instead of helping. At that moment, I always ask myself, how did we get here? Story 7. Genocides in Gaza, hunger in Sudan, wars in Iraq, elimination of Muslims in China, levels of greediness and corruption in this darn world, amount of humans ready to eat others, souls alive without a flinch. I mean, it's over for humans a long time ago. Story 8. Garbage, pollution. Whether it's someone chucking their empty beer cans at a park, or companies saying, "Oops, there's persistent plastics in everything, nothing we can do." Or scientists launching probe after probe, and then, "Oops, there's a ring of debris orbiting the Earth. Ain't nothing we can do." You mean to tell me you did all your fucking calculations, but it never entered your mind to deal with proper disposal? You cannot imagine how fucking aggravating it is to hear about that stupid plastic island in the middle of the Pacific. Oh, but it's become a habitat for birds and manta rays. It's freaking garbage. It ain't cute and cuddly. It's your cucking beer cans and nasty potato chip bags. Story 9. People that make exceptions for people in power. People who claim they are Christian and post things on social media that are not very Christian. Story 10. Seeing children and babies at 9 p.m. on the dirty, polluted, broken concrete streets barefoot and in rags begging for money alone or with their parents or grandparents. They look tired, confused, hungry, broken and lost and depressed. Fudge humanity and fudge the world. Yeah, I could talk about the state of America, billionaires and millionaires, the 99 and Donald Trump, but fudge it. I don't want to. Nobody cares. And nothing matters anymore. Story 11. the entitlement of a lot of people today. The era of two-day shipping and instant gratification. A lot of people are living beyond their means because they don't want to sacrifice their lavish lifestyle. Answer: I get extra disappointed when I hear people crying about not being able to afford their medications or food for their kids, just to sit back and watch them go to concerts and shopping out to eat, etc. all the time. To top it off, they prey on other people's emotions to try and get money out of them. They blow all their money on wants and go begging when bills are due. Makes me so mad. Story 12. Trump, MAGA, Steve Can't Strangle Miller, and fundamentalist, fascist, radical, terroristic, jihadist, etc. what have you, Islam. Also, McDonald's current pricing. Story 13. The way some people are with people just being rude. We all live here together. Let's support each other. Story 14. The cruelty inflicted on animals, especially farm animals, on a daily basis. The poor souls have no life, it's all suffering and a horrible passing. Please eat less meat, y'all. It makes a difference. Story 15. When two political camps are chewing each other's heads off, and the people who bring up nuance and critical thinking get demonized and thrown in the middle. We are fast-tracked to hand the entire world over to the rich, regardless of whatever side wins the current political conflict. Story 16. The first thing I think about is when I see young, 20s, 30s managers or supervisors having huge power trips over their same age co-workers despite having mostly similar backgrounds and experiences. Regardless of the similarity of background and age, it's also the fact of, why are you acting like that at such a young age? I feel as younger adults going into the workforce, we should be working to uplift each other and change the dynamic of having to work. But people like that make me lose faith. Story 17. Justifying the takedown of innocent people, especially children, even if it's one child in a war area. The deportation of children with cancer and Americans. How anyone can support the current administration. Story 18. Women who get fake nails, wigs, hair extensions, false eyelashes, and all the rest of the uniform while doing nothing for their children. Basically, any mother who doesn't prioritize her child's happiness, comfort, safety, and well-being over her own. And definitely her need to look a certain way to attract another deadbeat, future baby daddy. Story 19. Every time people embrace and caress the boot on their necks, falsely believing they'll wear the boot one day. Story 20. The ease at which masses of people are hoarded together in dislike because of propaganda. Few people take the time to seek truth, and many would be willing to take down because of the propaganda they swallow so easily. From century to century, nothing changes. People are always eager to burn someone at the stake after getting caught up in the crowd. Story 21. Literally, the worst people with most power and being alive, while good influential people don't have as much power. My personal favorite is Freddie Mercury. He was a significant figure in the musical industry and could have achieved so much more had he not unfortunately succumbed to AIDs. He was flashy, made amazing music that was ahead of its time, and let's be real, put on the best performance at Live Aid. We're never gonna get a concert like that again that's profit-free for a good cause. Wish I was alive to see that live. Story 22. Everyone watching a live genocide happening in Gaza on their phones daily, but nothing is being done about it. Story 23. Influencers. Every idiot and intelligent person with a phone or a camera is trying to escape the confines of capitalism by being noticed. They will try just about anything to gain attention, oftentimes at the expense of their dignity, sanity, and the detriment of the human condition. Answer: Amen. And the sad little startup companies that want you to take pictures of your cat wearing their collar, as though that will make or break their marketing plan. You gotta blame the influencers for that end of it too. As someone with a bachelor's degree in a relevant field, I can tell you that advertising in general does not work. That's not what you are paying for. You are paying media companies to ignore the problematic side of your corporate strategy. Story 24. Seeing the division in the world. Whether you're white, Hispanic, black, Asian, Christian, Islamic, satanic, agnostic, atheist, it doesn't matter. Someone dislike you for it. Story 25. Any organized religion that believes it is the only valid religion. More suffering, fraud, anger, and self-righteousness has been caused in the name of one unproven, unlikely deity or another than any other reason. Story 26. Trump, his supporters. Mind you, I fudge, live with some, still can't get away from them fast enough. 99 of my family is that. The never-ending violence, dogma, deforestation, animal abuse, the rich doing nothing actually beneficial and productive with their money for others in need. Story 27. People asking pointless questions on the internet when they know there are problems in their world, and they can fix it. Story 28. Greed. I used to hike long-distance trails, and the hospitality of folks on the trails was amazing. The trail angels that give without expectation of receiving, really, is humbling. Story 29. AI and the lack of emphasis on our public education system. I am a professor at a college, and year after year I see more students entering the school year with less basic capabilities, e.g., reading, writing, critical thinking, etc. Making matters worse is the use of AI such as ChatGPT. Instead of using this to help create an outline or something similar, students are using this to do their entire assignment or write speeches, etc. All critical thinking and effort has went out the window. Story 30. What just happened to Senator Alex Padilla? Please don't label me as anything. I'd feel this way no matter who it was. 6 Help 1225 and abusing animals. Story 31. War, genocide, famine, collapse of international law, rise of authoritarianism around the world, extreme wealth inequality. Take your pick. Story 32. Republicans, Christians, poorly educated blue-collar Christian workers who vote for Republicans because they're too poorly educated to know better. Story 33. Watching what's happening in America right now, every single day. It gets worse. And yet, I still have people I went to school with when I lived there, defending what's going on. One of them actually said, "Oh, Trump just has a sense of humor that isn't in line with the status quo. Most of what he says is him joking, and he's actually really funny." I was supposed to go to her wedding this summer, but there's no way I am going to risk entering the US just to attend an event filled with people who are cheering on the deplorable actions of their government. Story 34. School lunch debt. The idea that we force kids to go to school but can't let kids eat without paying is disgusting. Story 35. Trumpers. Not once but twice. Insanity. A cult movement based entirely on dislike. Where did we go wrong? I'm older. To see this decline in real time is not the way I wanted to go out. To think we went from Wabaway heroes to this is simply incomprehensible. Think of that. We went from Kennedy to Trump. Clearly something is amiss. The shining beacon to a Kolkata cesspool. Heartbreaking. Story 36. Willful, belligerent cruelty, particularly without any sort of direct material benefit to the perpetrator. Cruelty for its own sake. Story 37. how it's the public behavior to dogpile on one another. Predominantly, the public behavior with this regard are like animals. They find great pleasure in putting others down to make themselves feel better. And no, it's not everyone that is like this, but I'd say it's the majority. This is why a lot of PPL just want to be away or alone. Story 38. People who intimacy assault and eliminate children and hurt them intentionally in any way. How could you treat an innocent child like that? Story 39. Slightly lighter tone, but anytime I have to peer review a college student's paper, I wondered for so long how I kept getting good scores on essays that I thought were terrible. Turns out it is because everyone else's is even worse. Story 40. Yesterday I saw a video on Instagram of a kid with his father at a gas station, and the kid was begging his dad not to buy more adult beverage and begging the clerk not to sell it to him. The dad already appeared impaired to me, and I was surprised the guy would even sell it to him in his condition. The kid couldn't have been older than 8, and I commented that I feel bad for the kid and I wish the best for him. I got about 40 comment responses to mine about the kid sucks and is ruining his dad's day. Man, that frustrated me for a while. Story 41. Humanity. In my personal situation, I'd say seeing the President of the United States throw himself a military parade while invading a U.S. state, threatening to use U.S. military forces against U.S. citizens who are expressing their constitutional right to assembly, and threatening to arrest democratically elected leaders and withhold federal funding until the state bends the knee, and then seeing half the country support and celebrate it. Story 42. School shootings, war for economic gain, and people who refuse to recycle or deliberately hunt endangered species. Story 43. The widespread cover-up of abuse scandals in institutions like churches, schools, and orphanages. Situations like these where trusted authorities protected abusers instead of victims are my first reason for losing faith in humanity. Another one is events like the Rwandan genocide, 1994, where nearly 1 million people were slaughtered in 100 days while the world largely watched and did little. While there are so many other reasons to mention, I'll conclude this choosing one of the most horrific ones that comes to mind. Dog meat festivals, factory farming, or trophy hunting for sport. Story 44. Porch pirates. I've watched those Mark Rober videos where he has his device that makes them sorry in the moment, but I'm honestly so saddened by these people. They may claim they are poor. Why are you sporting an iPhone, people? Or they're sticking it to the man, or whatever. Or they know the person will be reimbursed by the business. But I just think they are downright selfish and immoral. And it hurts my soul when I see these people teaching their children that this is normal behavior, perpetuating this bizarre sense of entitlement to the next generation. Story 45. Having multiple people tell me my abusive father loves me. Perhaps he may love me in a way, but no way will I accept whatever love he has for me. I've been through too many breaking points where people have let me down and made me lose hope. I won't lower my standards for him. Story 46. People who blame rich people for their problems and people who complain about rich people and use their product. Story 47. Seeing the complete inhumanity from people who could clearly make a difference for the good. All these holier-than-thous that have complete disrespect for the living. Story 48. The cow who came into my work, nonprofit, to utilize our free services and tells me she voted for orange juice, but she hopes we don't get shut down if the Medicaid cuts happen. You voted for this, but you're still using free services. Phew. Story 49. Trump. He is such a nasty person, I can't believe people could ever vote for him. I can't even think of my neighbors the same way. I live in a big pro-Trump area. Story 50. Bad people being rewarded for doing bad things. Bad people getting good things they didn't deserve. Last one is highly subjective, but... Story 51. Our current government situation. The fact that the people who are supposed to represent the populace can't be bothered to stop being so blatantly corrupt to even pretend they give two shoot about us. Absolutely lose faith in humanity anytime I see a news article about what's going on today at that zoo. Story 52. The way some people treat children. They are completely innocent beings, yet some people treat them horribly. People take advantage of the innocence of children, and it's genuinely fudge. Story 53. Privileged people in power deliberately making life even harder for the most vulnerable in society when it's absolutely not necessary, while at the same time further feathering their own nests with the spoils. Story 54. The United States medical system. Doctors genuinely don't care if you die, they just want your money, especially if you're a minority. Story 55. The Israel v. Palestine genocide. The post above was literally talking about Gaza's oil. Homophobic people who genuinely and stubbornly believe we are destined for hell. Bigots in general. America. The boys in my school. Story 56. People are incapable of thinking for themselves. They spend so much time with their feed, it replaces all their common sense and their individuality. This makes them extremely susceptible to manipulation. Story 57. Current events. I try to avoid reading most of this, but between political commercials and internet, you can't avoid it completely. Story 58. An intimacy trafficker, although unsuccessful, somehow got 8 of the vote in my country while running for senator. Story 59. People who invest in a far-left or far-right ideology acting as if they and their belief system is the only valid one and failing to recognize their two balls hanging in the same hairy sack, just on different sides. People who are self-righteous about being the enlightened party, destroying lives and property, routinely, but don't have the intelligence emotional maturity to handle someone calling a female, or demand we refer to a baby in utero as a fetus, because science, but God forbid someone have a gender that's not of their choosing. Someone that is so avidly pro-gun, at any cost. While 6- and 7-year-old children are being slaughtered in our schools. The fact that all of these people are so blinded by a political leaning that they toe party lines and disregard humanity. People who believe that the politicians on their side of the aisle are honest and ethical and far superior to the other, and that the other side are evil monsters. We sit and wonder how Hitler was able to create such dislike, division, and devastation. And yet, there is every bit as much dislike today in the US and elsewhere, and all at the behest of a handful of wealthy, greedy men and corporations that are playing both sides like fiddles. The fact that I'm not terribly intelligent and definitely not intellectual, but I'm smart enough to realize this. But the brilliance found in some of those types, both left and right, cannot. Story 60. My ex-wife left me for a better-looking guy and stole all our savings. Tough to come back from that. Story 61. Those gym girls who accuse some random dude resting after a set for being a creep and staring at them. Story 62. Trump supporters. Their lack of empathy is so discouraging, and men, they dislike women so much. No matter what we do, there's always a man there to put us down, even for the smallest thing. Story 63. What really shakes my faith in humanity is seeing people turn a blind eye to suffering around them, like choosing convenience or selfishness over kindness and empathy. When cruelty, hatred, or injustice become so normalized that people stop speaking up or helping, it's hard not to feel discouraged. But even in those moments, small acts of genuine care strangers, helping strangers, people standing up for what's right remind me there's still hope. Story 64. Even 100 days into Trump's second presidency and how shoot things are going, MAGA is still blindly loyal and stumping for him, like brainwashed beyond repair. Story 65. I like to play a game. It's called Find a Post, where fascists don't show up super triggered. I've never won. Literally anyone being happy about anything, anyone enjoying something, it absolutely enrages right-wingers, and there are millions and millions of them. Sociopaths. And there is nothing you can do about it. You can't reason someone into other people get to exist and be happy, because that should be universally agreed upon. It's like the most basic, baseline tenet of human existence. If they start off angry about that, we're cooked. Story 66. MAGA. Seriously, it just seems like the cruelty is the point with them. MAGA are the people who won't let you merge at the on-ramp or wash their hands in the bathroom. Story 67. Every single extremist right-wing group under the sun, from ISIS to the NSM, and even some far-right governments. Makes me sad that the deadliest war in history may need to be fought again. Story 68. Everything that is happening in the USA under the Trump admin. I get that we have immigration violators, but the way things are happening are very inhumane. This is not what the USA should be about. Our human values have all been tossed out the window. Very dark times in the United States. Story 69. People watching multiple genocides happening around the world and refusing to condemn the people paying for them. Story 70. When the same people that used to complain about the system start benefiting from the system, and then they love the system and defend it. E.g., a homeless person that becomes a landlord and makes their tenant homeless if they ever become unemployed. Story 71. That such a large percentage have faith in a being that doesn't exist. So many delusional people on this planet is frightening TBH. Story 72. Everything that has happened over the last 5 years, that's what made me lose my faith in humanity. Story 73. CPS cases along with the CPS department. So many cases just ignored or mishandled when children are so obviously getting abused or neglected. Story 74. The fact that we're still having wars in 2025. Any form of abuse. People birthing children into poverty and unstable circumstances. The amount of stupid people that I encounter on a daily basis. Story 75. At times, this country really disgusts me. We have people being torn away from their families and hard-working jobs and getting deported. And there is only one reason for that, because American businesses hire them for their cheap labor and hard work. It's instinct to want to survive. They're going after the wrong people. They should be going after the slave-driving businesses who hire in the first place. Story 76. If you're really selective, you can manage to surround yourself with good people, but our species as a whole is a cancerous rot that is a blight upon this planet, and God forbid we ever make it off this rock, we will be the same to any other celestial body we encounter. If Nurgle actually existed, we'd be too much even for him. Story 77. That a single human exists and would be fucking dumb enough to cast an actual ballot for Don fucking Trump as president. Story 78. Watching millions of people look at a convicted felon, known rapist, and suspected child molester who already tried to overthrow the government once and decide, yeah, sure, I'll vote for that guy. Story 79. Seeing the worst people consistently rise to the top, knowing the game is rigged against us, it's disheartening and hopeless. Story 80. Seeing people record someone suffering instead of helping them just for likes or views genuinely makes me sick. Story 81. I like to debate. It's an issue, NGL, and I never look at a person right off the bat that I think is stupid. I have a bias to where I think everyone is at least as smart as me. But I find out again and again and again that people don't research what they say they care about. They don't care about what they say they care about. All of it. All of it, red or blue, is performative F. When people can't answer a question, they avoid it entirely and don't face it themselves, and choose not to interact further. People not giving a darn is a central portion of most contemporary problems, and everyone speaks over things that they actually know nothing about. Story 82. The fact that we are capable of helping each other, yet we continue to fight wars, bicker, backstab, etc. Or the fact that we are so darn gullible and believe what we want to believe, often for self-gain, which leads to much of the earlier statement. Makes me sad we're not better to each other as humans. Story 83. I still have faith, LOL. That's only because I know that I still exist in the world despite everything that has happened. It's not much, of course, but makes me happy that even a person like me can still be in a crazy world. Story 84. I lost both my parents in less than 3 years. One person reached out to me. Nobody else reached out to even ask if I was okay except that one person. Even family, as they were too preoccupied assisting with everything else, like the funerals plans, blah, blah, blah. To them it was all business, but nobody ever asked me if I was okay. I was made to assist with planning not one, but both of my parents' funerals. Nobody cared to ask me even after the first. After the second funeral that I did,